As you may or may not have noticed by now, this series is not specifically just about my deconversion. It's also about my dealings with mental illness and being gay, which contributed to me eventually getting married, then having kids, then getting divorced, then coming out of the closet, and then becoming deconverted. I wouldn't have gotten to this great place in my life without a multitude of people whom I love very much, most of whom were women. In my life, I have encountered some of the most interesting women. Some with hearts of gold, some were made of steel, and some were both, like my ex-wife. As I've said before, I'm just as in the dark as most straight men when it comes to women. I don't know about your shoes, I don't know about your hair, and I don't know whether or not that dress makes you look fat. And sometimes I just want to spend my Saturdays watching NCAA football rather than spend a moment talking about my feelings. And then I'll put off talking about feelings again for one more day to watch the NFL on Sundays. It's true, I may have been taught to be misogynistic by my religion or the myriad male role models in my life. Friends, my brother, grandfathers, all men that I love dearly, but of course none of them knew that they were raising a little gay boy who had no more interest in girls other than friends than he had interest in how many angels could fit on the head of a pin. It's something I had to unlearn slowly over time. After all, not so long ago I was handed a baby girl and told that she was mine to care for. I do believe that fathers represent what daughters may look for in their eventual choice of mates. What better way of demonstrating what a good man is by recognizing my own sheer ineptitude with the opposite sex? From one girl to the last and most important. She had blonde hair and blue eyes. When I was 8, I got a phone call from her. Her name was Jane. She asked that I dress really nice and come over to play with her and a group of friends. Why I had to dress up, I had no idea, but I complied, even wearing a tie. Had I known I was getting married that day, I might have eaten a mint, but I didn't. It was raining, so it was an indoor fun day. Back then, you could walk around without hawkish parents worrying about every stranger on the street being a pedophile. I rang her bell, my little black shoes soaked in water, and she answered wearing a white dress with her hair done up to the sky, as people did back in the 80s, soaking their scalps in Aquanet until it stood up straight. She was pretty. She liked New Kids on the Block and Tiffany. We went into her basement just as the rain took a turn for the worse. It was elaborately decorated in colorful party streamers. The room was filled with all the neighborhood kids looking on as Jane moved to a makeshift pulpit where Grace was holding a Bible in her hands. Perfectly placed between the open Bible pages were a set of dime store rings made of plastic. I wasn't scared. I didn't know that was an option. I just ran with it, much as I would eventually do in the future. Standing there at the pulpit, I took her hands in mine. Grace began to pretend to read. "Dearly beloved, we're gathered here to marry these two kids." I knew that the wedding ceremony wasn't actually in the Bible. They had a different book for that, much like the ones Catholics have for exorcism rites. She had it open to Job or Ezekiel, but that didn't matter. I was pretending to marry my best friend at the time. I put a ring on her finger, and she put one on mine. When Grace had finished speaking, we were supposed to kiss. We didn't. Grace tried to press our faces together, each of us craning and using our neck muscles to press away while scrunching our little noses. Neither of us could do it after all. We were both children, and it was for fun. But the other kids were egging us on like Spin the Bottle or 7 Minutes in Heaven. It was enough to make us blush, and blush deeply. I took both her hands in mine and buried my face in them and kissed them. She smelled really nice. I'll never forget that. She and her sister had baked a cake. I can't remember which kind, but we ate it with fruit punch. Back then, if you couldn't afford to buy CDs and you were still on cassettes, there was one thing you could do to get your favorite songs. If you had a cassette recorder that could record from the radio, you could wait for your favorite song to come on, sometimes actually hearing the announcer at the beginning saying which song it was. At that moment, on one of those excessively large boombox in the corner, Bono began to sing about how he couldn't be with or without someone, and she asked me to dance. I had never danced with a girl before then. I thought I was pretty smooth because I didn't step on her toes. I didn't dance at my real wedding. I wish I had. She had red hair and blue eyes. It's night. I'm sitting in the back seat of my brother's car. It was a rickety piece of shit with a V8 engine, 18 miles to the gallon, and man, did it roar. Even people who aren't environmentalists would thumb their noses at this today. She asks me if I've ever been kissed, and I say, no. I thought about kissing boys, a lot, but I don't tell her this. She leans from the front seat to the back and plants a good one on me. It's my brother's girlfriend, not mine. From the driver's seat, my brother asks me if I like that. I don't know, bro. I don't know. He tousles my hair the way all big brothers do. I can see his smile below Buddy Holly glasses in the rearview mirror. Maybe you'll have a girlfriend of your own one day. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Carrie and Carrie were brunette and blonde. At a bonfire/lock-in hosted by my youth group, I decided to sneak off with them to be alone in the rectory. We talked for a while about everything and nothing. Lying there on the floor with the lights off, staring at the ceiling, through the skylight we could see the stars. Heads together while all the others were outside confessing pornography or stealing to each other, and then confessing to God. We were alone long enough for a lot of things to happen. They sat close to me and they said it was cold, but all we did was talk. Maybe about Kurt Cobain killing himself or getting our first cars. The counselors found us and questioned us rigorously to make sure that we hadn't even held hands. No kissing, right? I didn't even know that was an option. They didn't make us leave or call our parents. They just asked why. Why when there's so much at stake? It's about your soul. They didn't say this, of course, but that's exactly how they made me feel. Like my immortal soul was at stake, simply for kissing someone. Behind white tendrils of smoke, she looks like Uma Thurman. Black-haired Uma from the 90s, not blonde-haired Uma from the new millennium. The down girl, the one everyone loves to hang out with. She listens to the coolest music. She'll break into dance and get everyone to join in, and then she'll rock out and headbang. She broke up with my brother and then came to pick me up for coffee. She says she doesn't want to talk about my brother, then immediately proceeds to talk about my brother. He dumped her, she dumped him bullshit, Fugazi playing in the background of the coffee house. She kisses my cheek and tells me I'm a good listener. I didn't listen to a word you said, but thank you for the pack of cigarettes. She had jet black hair. I was helping her pin it into a neat bun. It was my first dance, homecoming. She called me and asked me if I wanted to go. I didn't know that was an option. We were ready to go and look awkward for a few hours. I dressed in the best I could on a Salvation Army budget. She socialized while I watched on, following her wherever she went, and stayed silent. I danced with her a few slow dances, and then the girl with a lazy eye who sat out. Evangeline says, "None of them matter. Don't you get it? They don't matter." Then I get loose, take off my jacket, my white shirt and my vest soaked in sweat, the white carnation at my chest wilting in the heat. I didn't give one fuck after that. A few dances later, we leave. Thank you for a great night. I drop her off at the doorstep. 15 years later, she writes on my Facebook wall, "Hey, best homecoming date ever. Have a happy birthday." I was your only homecoming date. Beverly. Aiden's girlfriend shows up at my door. I hadn't seen her in months. She didn't even show up at his funeral. She sobs in my living room that Aiden's death really fucked her up and she doesn't know what to do. She thinks it was her fault. We take a ride, her crying the whole time. She says she didn't mean to break his heart. I tell her he had issues anyway. Later, we're in my driveway at midnight. There's a long silence where we just stare at each other. I don't know what she wants. I don't know how to make her feel better. She blinks back tears. Suddenly, she pulls down her pants, opens the car door, squats next to the car, and pees on the ground. She gets back in, buttoning her pants, stares at me for a long minute, sighs, then says, "See you later, Addie." "See you later." I go inside my house. Was that an option? I probably couldn't have done it anyway.